9 straight wins for Phil DeFries in KSW. 8th title defense, more title defenses than anyone ever in KSW, has the most heavyweight title defenses in any major MMA promotion. Massive win for him. He is the face of KSW at this point, for goodness sakes. He is a man that we have been waiting a long time to have on the program. There he is. Big Phil, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for Tom for getting me on with his buggery and absolute harassment of you.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you on. And for the record, I've actually tried to have you on for several months, but I guess I had the wrong number, and it kept getting bounced back. So my apologies.
Oh, I forgive you, Ariel, but I don't believe you.
I just didn't want to give Tom all the credit, but he has been hounding me. He is your biggest fan and a very loyal friend to you. And I told him all goes well here. Would love to have you on, and all went well, my friend. Wow, what a story! And I know that you've talked some about your backstory, and I hope you don't mind me asking a little bit about it again. But considering this one, considering who it was, Todd Duffy, who you fought back in the UFC 155, you were a completely different person. Of all the wins as of late, did this one mean the most because of symbolically what it represented?
Yeah, I mean, I've got no hard feelings against what Todd did to me. Todd fought the man in front of him, but the man in front of him at that time was a weak man. I had severe mental health issues. I was anxious. I was just terrified of fighting, I saw the bookies' odds and what people were saying in the forums, and I in my head I'd lost already. I was in there to get beat, But it's like the victory is a symbolic victory over a time in my life where I was at rock bottom now, and then you got to fight the real me, and this is the real me. This is the fight that I can beat, and I'm still improving,
And like I said, you have talked about rock bottom and the anxiety and the depression and everything that you've been through. But could I ask, when did that all start for you? Like, when did you start battling those demons?
Well, the thing is, with my anxiety, I had a horrible childhood, horrible school experience. My entire life, I always had anxiety, so I never noticed anything was wrong. I thought, this is who you are, Phil. You're a guy this is normality for you. And after I got cut from the UFC, I went back to the local scene for a bit. I took a bad loss in the local scene of somebody I shouldn't have got beaten off, really. And I started hitting the alcohol. And then it really, really got way out of hand. I was like basically totally insane. I couldn't have took a phone call off my best friend, Like, my best friend would ring me and look at it and I'd think, oh my God, gangsters want to kill me or something. And I'd like take a day to call them back, And I thought, I Googled irrational fear of everything, and it said, anxiety. And I was like, anxiety, I've heard of this. Made an appointment with a doctor, got put on some pills. 3 months, it takes 3 months for these pills to work. 3 months later, the anxiety just lifted, and I was in like a state of euphoria for like a week. I was like this is what normal feels like. It was like absolute bliss, But
Wow.
I didn't. If the awareness, what it was now, was back then, I would have known what anxiety was and got treatment early, instead of thinking this is just my reality,
What was your childhood like?
I had a horrible childhood. My mother died when I was little. I was left in a house with no love with a guy who wasn't my father, and basically he hated me guts. And
Wow.
I never got taught to stick up for myself. I got tortured all the way through school, assaulted on multiple occasions, just depressing, horrible, anxious, bloody suicidal, basically. Then I started fighting, kind of doing the martial arts, trying to stop getting bullied, but I still had all those issues, just horrible, mate, bloody horrible.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That is. What about your father? Where was your father?
I don't want to go into it. It's going to
Okay.
upset people and stuff, but the guy I was left with, I was a bastard child, raised by the person who wasn't my father, who really hated me guts,
Oh.
But you know what, mate? Like, I've had those horrible times. Now I couldn't be happier. My career's on fire. I've got my beautiful family. I'm happy. I've got good friends, a good team around us. I've had my painful time, and now it's the time for the good times.
Amen. And so, what was the turning point? How did you get your life on track? Was it simply the pills, or was it more than that?
I mean, I'm usually against taking medicines and things, but I did get some therapy, but that was after the pills. These pills just totally, the anxiety just lifted. You got to take them for 3 months. The anxiety lifted, and But I was so lucky, because I'm very open about these problems of mine. And lots of people message me saying, "Oh, I've got anxiety, so I'll go get these pills. These pills saved my life." And I've told about 10 people, and these people haven't had the same reaction as me. So I
Wow.
was just incredibly fortunate that the first course of medicine really would save my life.
When you signed with KSW, where were you at in your life?
I like my win streak correlates directly to beating anxiety as well, But I was still the Andreshak who I fought first. I think I was kind of got to be like meat for him, And I was still pretty I was anxious and a bit worried about Andreshak, but it wasn't the sheer terror that I'd formerly experienced. It was a bit like, oh my God, this is a scary guy,
And now you've gone on this amazing run. Outside of the UFC, there's no heavyweight that's enjoying the success that you're enjoying. And in terms of consecutive wins, no one even in the UFC heavyweight division is enjoying the success that you are enjoying. Could you ever have imagined any of this? Or did you think like a few years ago, okay, my career is just going to be a win here, a loss there, I'll bounce around after you left the UFC? Like, was there a part of you that thought, if I could just get everything together, I'm good enough to go on a run?
Well, I was always a very good gym fight. I've always been at good gyms. But there's a photo, I've shared this photo a lot, like when I got beat on the local scene off the guy who I thought I shouldn't have got beat off. I became an alcoholic and I was obese. And I was actually at Glastonbury Festival, and people were like, "Oh, I used to be a fighter." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I was good. I could have been somebody." Then I thought, Phil, I was like, "You still can be somebody, mate." I was like, 29, 30, you still can be somebody then, that's what I thought, get you these issues sorted, you still got time, man.
Do you ever have anxiety before your fights?
I get a normal level of anxiety. It's a very stressful moment, I'm not like it's an anxious time. It's a scary fight with some guy, all these factors, pay or what will happen next, I do feel a slight feeling of nervousness, but I can channel that into energy and usefulness. Whereas before it was like sheer terror. I couldn't. I don't know why I did it. It was kind of my identity,
Wow.
Well, like I said, I got into it to stop getting bullied, and the fighting stuff was getting bullied. So I thought, I'm keeping on this,
When did you meet your wife?
Oh, 12 years ago. 12 years ago, she's been honestly at my rock bottom. Like, we're living a good life now. I've got a good contract, new house and stuff. But I was rock bottom at one point, drinking myself stupid, just being a slob and disgusting. Honestly, she's an angel,
So, in obviously you have a family now. How many children do you have?
I've got 2 girls, 4 and 6. You know what? The little friends to be today, some of them have watched the fight. The little 6-year-old saying, "Oh, I want to be a fighter like your dad." She's like, "Are you famous, Dad?" I'm like, "Well, a little bit, and she's just getting dead proud. Like I said, I've had my hard times, and now this is the good times,
It seems like you have a massive smile anytime I see you. It seems like you're really enjoying life now, which is beautiful, and you deserve that. And I'm wondering, it's a weird thing, right? As you know, you're enjoying all the success in KSW, and I'm sure there are some people who are like, when are you going to go back to the UFC, right? And that feels disrespectful towards KSW because they really gave you an opportunity to reinvent your career. And so the first question I have is, how do you feel about being in KSW? Do you like the way they treat you? Are you happy with the way they treat you?
KSW have been nothing but great to me. I feel respected. I feel valued. I'm well paid. If they have issues with me, they talk to me. They don't fly about. I like everyone backstage. It's great. And like I said, I really don't like. I think it's likely I finish my career at KSW. Like if I did go back to UFC, it'll probably take us 4 years, like on a Tom Aspinall sort of collision stop to the top,
right,
to get what I'm getting paid now, and I'll be like 41 then. So, but you never know what's going to happen. But I'm very happy where I'm at. KSW treat me great. They always sell out the stadiums. They promote you well. They're cool and well, great production values, and I still think there's great fights to be there.
So you have no aspirations to give the UFC another go, to right that wrong, anything like that. If it ends up that you finish your career in KSW, you'll be perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like. I'm not that bothered about fame and stuff, at the moment, I'm trying to get enough money so when I can retire and give my children a comfortable life, and I'm like, KSW is going to give that to me. So sometimes I get the, because I honestly think if the chips started to place for me, I could beat anyone in the world. I could get the $1 million, the pay-per-views and stuff. But I'm on a great thing with a great company who respect us and pay me well. So we'll have to see.
When you watch the big dogs fight in the UFC, and wouldn't you know it, we've got the heavyweight championship on the line, somewhat disputed because Francis left. But you see that, like you see those guys, the Cyril Gans of the world, you watch them and say, I'm better than these guys.
But you know what I can do? What a lot of people can't? I can grapple. And I'm in there with Tom Aspinall. And Tom Aspinall is the best I've ever seen on any mat in all my career by a long margin. And I'm mixing up with him. On my day, I can beat anyone, But like I said, how far away from a title shot would I be in UFC? 4 or 5 years, maybe? Yeah. If I had amazing trajectory, I'll be 41, 42 there, And this game, you can get old overnight. I'm not feeling old yet, though. But you never know when that might happen,
Let's get Martin Lewandowski on the phone. Let's make Francis Ngannou versus Phil DeFries. That would be, do it at the Colosseum show that they just announced in June. That would be something, right? Look at your eyes. You love this.
Yeah, I'd fight Francis. People think, oh, you're crazy, Francis. I'll fight anyone on the planet, and I can grapple. Let's do it, But I think they're eyeing old Overeem for that, I think they're in talks for that.
Okay.
So that'll be a dream come true,
So they're talking to Alistair Overeem about you fighting on that Colosseum show in June. You fighting him.
Yeah, they're shooting for that, and that is a dream fight for me, And just he's a legend. I think they'll propel me in the top 10. It'd be a money fight. It'd be a fight the fans want to see. And 57,000 people, man, sitting there. What a career highlight that would be,
Yeah, they had 57,000 the first time they did one of these Coliseum shows. The production value for KSW is amazing. I love the show that they put on. It's fun. It's different. It doesn't look like everyone else. And I love the fact that you have found a home there and that you're happy there. It's all very beautiful. I love the relationship you have with Tom Aspinall as well. What a character. I'm a big fan of his. How did you guys first meet?
Well, it was messages for sparring, but I was going to a top team at the time, and I didn't have I'd been the best in Britain for 10 years. I thought nobody in Britain could beat me, So I was like, I'll go and spar with this Tom Aspinall. I honestly thought I would steamroll him. I was like, a minute in, I was like, this is not going to plan. This kid is crazy good, And we had a good spar and stuff, but he is something else, And every time I see him, he's really getting better, So, and he's a great guy. We've got good camaraderie. We've got a good team here, And we're friends, He's just a real sound guy and just a fantastic fight, He's younger than me, but I'll learn from him every day. He's got a strong mind, a positive outset. He always wants to learn. He's like, I'm learning from him, not the other way around,
Wow. And so do you live in Manchester as well?
No, I live in Sunderland. It's like a 3-hour drive.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got Michael Parkin who's been signed in the UFC, but he bust his knee. So I've done my full camp in Manchester. And I've got my coach, Andrew Fisher, who was imperative to my recovery as well. When I was an obese alcoholic, he said, come, Phil, come down. I'll pad you. I'll train you for nothing. Let's get you back on track. I know you've got hope. I love my team in Sunderland. But I do spend a lot of time in Manchester because Tom's there and he's got a great team down there too.
That is lovely. And speaking of the alcohol, I saw you after the fight with a massive, I think you call it a bevy. This thing was gigantic. And then I saw you took a sip. You didn't. I thought you were going to do the whole thing. We're showing it right now. I thought you were going to down the whole thing, just a sip. But then I saw the next day you were doing the old hair of the dog routine, which would suggest that you were hungover. So did you get drunk from just that one sip? Is that how lightweight you are these days?
No, I did. The plan was to down that pint, but it was so bubbly. I could down a 1 pint. If I knew they were going to post it, I would have put a bit more effort in. I really felt let down by that downing the pint. But do you know another funny fact, Elio? Do you remember the down a pint challenge?
Sure, yeah.
I started that challenge,
You started
it. The first one. Yeah, but I was working as a drug and alcohol counselor at the time, so I was like, down a pint challenge. I did it. It took off massive, But I was thinking, Bill, you got to get the if people know you've started the down a pint challenge, you're going to get the sack from work. So I had to delete all history, but but I don't work there anymore. Oh. But I am the guy who started the down a pint challenge.
Wow, that is amazing. So you still drink alcohol, even though when you say that you were depressed, anxious. You were going to the beer a lot, the alcohol a lot. It's still okay for you to drink it now?
Oh yeah, I'll have a couple of beers every weekend, and after like a big win, I'm gonna go out in the town. The alcohol was because when I was drunk, I wasn't anxious. When I was drunk, I felt nice and normal, but then in the morning, it would be 10 times worse. But it got to the stage where I was like drinking the second I got home from work, and the weekend I'd start drinking at 12 o'clock. But this is all, I was working as a drug and alcohol counsellor while being an alcoholic, so I would get up at 8 in the morning, brush my teeth 3 or 4 times, go to work and like lecture people on the demons of alcohol while I was a steaming alcoholic myself,
Was this post-UFC or pre-UFC?
Post-UFC.
My God. So
I worked there before the UFC, then I left for the UFC to go train in the States. But I came back, and that's when the issues really start spiraling, But I was good. I could be honest about it now, but I mean, it was a horrible time in my life,
Yeah. Did you feel like, I don't know, did you feel guilty over that? The fact that you're lecturing people not to use this stuff, and there you are abusing it as well?
No, well, it's the organisation we worked for. We would never lecture. We would always say, "Oh, it's okay to have a hiccup. It's okay to do this." We would never be like, "Kind of, this is bad, this is evil." We would just go, "Oh, these are some positive steps you can make." So I wasn't being like a massive hypocrite, but obviously I kept my alcoholism to myself,
Okay. Did you? I mean, when you have moments, maybe when you're, I don't know, going to bed, do you ever think if I was in good shape several years ago, like everything would be different? Like if I didn't have the anxiety, or I found these pills earlier, do you think of that, or are you just grateful that your life is so much better now and you don't even think of that?
Well, I think of that, but sometimes like the anxiety made me such a powerful wrestler because I was terrified of boxing and striking. So if I would grab you, I would stick to you like glue out of sheer fear. And the anxiety and the bullying is why I got into fighting. If I was of sound mind, you're going to be a little bit crazy to do this, but it could have been a totally different experience. But I mean, the fights I lost in the UFC. I mean, I had Todd, who was on fire at the time, Mick Leone, who was on fire at the time, Stipe, who was Stipe,
Right.
And those fights I lost because I bottled it because of my anxiety. I'm not saying I was better than those guys. If I was of sound mind, and I wasn't very good back then compared to now as well, I probably would have lost as well. But the reason I lost was the anxiety. But like I said, I'm so happy. And like I met my girlfriend after the old all this kind of spiraled out. I've landed in an unbelievably happy spot, and I wouldn't change things for the world.
Well, I'm delighted for you. Congratulations. Great stuff. You're an inspiration to a lot of people, and you're killing it out there. I hope you get that Overeem fight in June at the Colosseum. That would be a huge deal. And you're on the radar now. Everyone's talking about you as one of the best heavyweights in the world, one of the best heavyweights outside of the UFC. You deserve all that praise and more. Well done, my friend. Enjoy the victory, and thank you for coming on. Finally, we get you on.
Like, one more thing. There's been a guy mentioning the guy's knee for a year. Like, at 5 years, can you a KSW champion that I should get a Rolex? I've mentioned it 100 times. I just think I should get a Rolex at 5 years service as champion. It's the world record. What do you think, Ariel?
I think you should get a Rolex. Come on, Martin. Let's go. Give the man his Rolex.
There we go. I've got on my little list of things to mention, You don't want to forget that.
I love it. I hope you get it, my friend. Congratulations and good luck to you.
Thank you very much, Ariel. Thanks for having me on. Cheers,
yes, man. What a legend. Phil DeFries. What a great guy. Very, very, very infectious personality.